Hey fellow control freaks, what's up? In this video today I'm going to show you how I turned this X-Touch Mini from Behringer into an awesome MIDI controller for Ableton Live. I'll take you through the process of planning a layout, researching and programming this device in ClyphX Pro step by step. The video is going to be a rather long one, but I included chapter marks so you can jump to the sections which are most interesting to you. Let me take you by the hand and let's do this together. My name is Schlappe and let's talk about ClyphX Pro. When you start to plan the layout, it's a good idea to take out a sheet of paper and a pencil and write down the actions which are most important to your workflow. Once you've done that, it's also a good idea to take another sheet of paper and draw a layout of your controller or download something like this, a template which you can get on the internet, and then make up your mind how you want to position each action best on the controller. Planning is key, so let's get started. I wanted to take into account that there are actually already some labels on the controller. We have two pages. I wanted to use the first page more for general actions and the second layer for track focused actions. So I thought this button might be cool to have something to do with record, something to do with play, maybe stopping, but maybe something else. This, why not going to toggle the loop state of the arrangement or the session view, something with left and right. Actually, I like to have a button designate because I work mostly all the time in the session view. So it's nice to have like a cursor you can actually tap with a haptic feedback to navigate around. So this goes move left, right, up and down. And then we have 4 buttons left. Those two, why not do a master fade in and fade out button? This one is going to toggle off and on the metronome, and this is going to be a tap tempo. So what we have left is the fader here. That's for another tutorial because this is going to be to do with bindings. So you can assign this to a fader in your arrangement. And I almost forgot those 4 buttons. I want to group them and use them for snapshots. There will be a designated tutorial about snapshots, but in a nutshell, this is going to take a snapshot of your current set of all the tracks, and you can do 2 snapshots with that and then recall them, so you can do an A/B comparison. So what is left are the encoder buttons. For the sake of this video, I think I'm going to leave them out on the general page because we will work on them in the bindings tutorial. I did that already and I wrote that down. All right, so the second page is going to be more focused on a track-based actions. So this one is going to momentarily solo the track. This I decided to stay the click. This is going to be also fade in and fade out, but just for the selected track. Those 3 buttons will do the following. This one will arm the track and start a recording actually, and this one is going to press the play button. This is going to stop the clip on the track when there's one running. So also this is going to affect the loop, but the loop of a clip which is running. And I decided to group those 5 buttons and address them to loop functions of a clip. Those 2 buttons are going to affect the length of the loop by half, divided by half and doubling it, and this is going to shift the position by the actual grid, and this is going to be a reset button. So if you try something and you didn't find something you liked, you just press this and you reset the loop. Those 4 buttons, again, we will dedicate to snapshots, but only for the selected tracks, which can be helpful to morph or compare presets or the sound of the track you're working on. And for those 8 encoder buttons, let's do certain tracks. Here you have buttons to operate on those tracks, and here you have shortcuts to your most used tracks. Like, for example, if you're working in electronic music, you have kick, snare, head, loop 1, or bass, bass 2, loop, and these for vocal and for background vocals. And it wouldn't matter if you assign them to groups or to a specific track. If you refer them by name, Ableton, respectively ClyphX Pro, won't care. It will, if you have a group called vocals and you bind this to the name vocals, it will select the group. If you have just a single track, it will apply to that track. I redid this in a more professional looking way. And the next step then is to research the actions in ClyphX Pro. Let's have a look at the ClyphX Pro manual, because that is the place to find the right words for a cliff. Okay, so let's have a look at the manual. So in the manual, what I usually like to do is to use the search field to look for an action. The first one I want to take a look at is the tab tempo. And I just type in tab, and there we have it. It's tab BPM as the command, the action, and I write that in here. Tab BPM. All right. Click is metro. It's a classic. So start stop we already did in the first lesson, the first part. It is, no, that's different, sorry. It is set for Ableton and then play. This will toggle the play state of the set. Now session record. Let's see if we have something. I'll type in session and then it pops up session record. Okay, so let's type in srec if that is what we want. Found on 2 pages. Okay, toggle turn on and off session record, and we actually always we don't want to toggle it, we actually want to turn it on all the time, every time. So it is srec on. Let's have a look at those 4. Because they are more straightforward. These are going to be navigation bars. So let's see if we find something when we type in navigation. And there in the reference, there's a whole chapter for navigation and view actions. And there we have left, right, up, and down. Pretty straightforward, don't you think? That is done. To toggle the loop, let's type in loop. What do we got? Here we have toggle, turn on or turn off the arrangement loop. Okay, so this will be just loop, and because we want to toggle it with each press. All right, next scene. Okay, that's probably something which is not that straightforward. Just type in next scene. What do we got? Many scene. Okay, there's a whole chapter for scene actions. And here we have it. Launch the previous or next scene relative to the last launched scene. Like the arrow to the right. I don't know the English term for that character. So this is going to be scene and then arrow to the right. I said we want to have a fade in and fade out for the master. So let's see what we got if we type in fade. There's crossfade, X fader. Anything else? Yes, no, also crossfade settings. Also, no. Okay, so there's no action for fade in and fade out. So what do we do? And that's a great point to make, how you have to think. Because there is no such action, because there's not not such a command in Ableton Live. So what is a fade? A fade is a decrease or increment of the volume over time. And let's see if we can do that, and of the master fader. So let's type in volume, adjust preview volume, adjust track volume. Okay, so continuous parameter. Okay, so it has to do something with volume. Let's keep on looking. Okay, so this is something, yeah, okay. MSTQ. Okay, let's see. Master track. If you type in master track, what we find, yeah, adjust preview, master track only. Okay, so there are specific commands for the master track. Okay. When specifying tracks, some additional keywords are available. MST applies to the master track. Okay, we learned in the Xclip tutorial, when you want to assign an action to a specific track, you have to write that at the start. So MST is reserved for master / volume. This will affect the volume of the master track. Now what we need to do is to set the volume, and for fade out we want to set the volume 0. Now we need to fill in the morphing over time, and there's a great thing about ClyphX Pro. There is an operator which is called ramping. Okay, there we have it. That's something which is sometimes difficult about the manual. The information you might be looking for is a little bit cluttered about, so you need some, I would say, experience to where to look for stuff. Okay, so we want to ramp the volume from 0 dB to 0 over a certain amount of time. To achieve that, we do first have to fill in ramp, then the time, let's choose 50 milliseconds, and then the destination, which is 0. Okay, now let's test, and that's another very important thing what you should do if you program in Xcontrol. Test your action, because every time change something in the xcontrols.txt, you have to reload the set, and that can be quite an annoying process. So I have an Xclip here, which I key mapped to the letter A, so I can quickly test the action. So when I press A, it will toggle the metronome. Master / volume 0. Let's take that. Okay, that works. Now put that back again at 127. Okay, now ramp over 20 milliseconds down to 0. Okay, let's see. Sweet. Now we do the same ramping up. And I think to 0 dB is, I think, about 103. We have the values from 0 to 127, which is like the MIDI standard. Let's see. Ramping up. Okay, that is, where are we? That's -1.5. Okay, let's see. 107. Now we are looking at -0.2. Okay, that's good. Let's take that, write that down. This is 107. And of course, you can adjust the amount of 20 milliseconds to any value you like. That was it for the first page. As I said earlier, the snapshots is a little bit special. I will go into those in more detail in a whole separate video, but that's for the first page. Let's move on to the second page. So now for the second page, we are going to look at mostly actions which refer to the selected track. So most of them will be track actions, and there is something a little bit special. In the manual, when you type in select, you get many results, so that is not really helpful. That's why I took the shortcut, went to the corresponding section in the manual. So applying actions to specific object and ranges, and there is a section objects can be specified via keywords, and SEL refers to the selected object. That is, for example, if we want to solo a track or if we want to play and stop a clip. But how to select a track? And there is a command: select the track or particular clip where X is the scene number. Okay, so the command is SEL. So to refer to a certain track, let's go back to the specifications for applying actions to specific objects. I think we talked about that in the Xclip tutorial already. So when we want to apply that to a track with a certain name, we have to put it in quotes, followed by slash, and then the action which will be selected. Okay, so let's quickly go to our set and give it a try. We want, in my case, I'd like to have a shortcut to the kick drum, which is quotes kick and then slash select. And to be able to properly test that, we take another shortcut to bass, just because I am a bass player actually. So when we play them, see the kick track was selected and the bass track was selected. Just beware, there's a setting in the preferences under launch, select on launch. If that is on, you get a conflict, because when I see it shortly selects the track, because we did this with an Xclip, it selected on the launch the Xclip. Okay, so there is a trap. Be sure select on launch is turned off. All right, then your actions will work smoothly. Okay, and as you can see, I've written down the tracks I want to take in. We'll come to that when we put everything together. All right, so what do we have here? The click is still the same. It is Metro. Fade in and fade out. It's basically the same as before. So we just substitute, instead of MST for master, we type in select. There's another thing we can use: reset, to reset the value, the volume, to its standard setting, which is 0 dB. All right, let's try this. Let's fade out the kick. First we select it, then we start the action. Fade in, fade out, perfect. The same for bass. Okay, that is a MIDI track. That doesn't make sense. So let me quickly use this. Select the track, yes. Yes, of course. So here, maybe you already grasp the flexibility. So these buttons won't work only on those eight tracks, but it actually will affect always the thing you have selected in your arrangement, which is really great. Fade is done. It's the same with select. Okay, stop clip. Let's have a look at that. That's also a track action. So let's go to track actions. Okay, now the action to stop a clip and play a clip on a record is to be found in track actions. So to stop a clip, we see track actions. There is stop. As an actions, it stops the playing clip on the track. Now, there's another one which has NQ, which stands for non-quantized. So that's up to your liking. You can use that to stop the clip instantly or quantized regarding to the global quantization settings. So yeah, we use simply stop. Play is probably exactly the same. When triggered via an X clip on the same clip, yes, let's play. We specify cell for the selected scene. Okay, let's do this. This will be play select. Okay, let's quickly try that. Okay, we have selected track and then the play action and then select. Okay, there we go. I choose this one and yes, it triggers the action. Okay, cool. That works. Now stop all clips. Nice. Okay, that works. So arm and record. So the idea behind this button is when you're working on a track, you have an idea you're working on and you want to quickly record that. You can do it with this. There isn't one single action to achieve this, so we need an action list. An action list is a sequence of commands. So first thing we need to do is the arm, the selected track. And this is to be found on arm. Okay, it toggles turn on or turn off. But in this case, we have to make sure that it arms the track, right? So selected track / arm on. Okay, so that's the first. It will be armed, and then because we want to record something, now think of Cliff. It will select the track, arm it. The clip slot is empty. It will record. But when you are working on a scene where there is a clip, it would just play the clip. So what we need to do, or what we want to do, is select the next empty slot. And Stray has foreseen this, and there is a operator you can use, which is called empty. So on the selected track, we want to we want to press the play, in this case the record button, of the next empty slot. So this is selected track, play, and then empty. Empty. Okay, let's test this here. Okay, we have selected and then arm on, semicolon, spaces in between, best practice, selected, select empty. On the selected track, yeah, that's how do we do that? On the selected track, play, empty. Okay, and a semicolon at the end. Okay, so let's see if we have this selected and I start the action. It starts it, but what we want to do actually is select the clip slot first, because when we set up the button play to play, we could then simply, I'll show you. So we have, that's the first command, and then we have selected track, play, selected. Okay, so we have this selected, and then when we press this button again, it'll stop the playback and start the playback. That's what we want actually. So we have to make sure that when we start the recording, it will select the slot which is recording. So we need to select the next empty slot. So how do we do that? I actually don't know. So this is like, this is live, no fake, all right? So on the selected clip, and then maybe clip, and then empty, let me try this, select. Okay, does this work? No, it doesn't work. How about empty select? Maybe this works. Empty. No, that doesn't work. Select next empty. Okay, let me quickly see. Add empty clip. No, that's not what we want. Okay, empty clip. Paste clip. No. Play. Yeah, that's what we do, but we want to select it then. I know that many recording fix empty. Here, select empty. There we have it. That's a track action. Okay, easy. I just have to turn that around. Empty. Yes, that's working. Okay, so we need to select that before we play. So selected, empty, space, semicolon, and then we don't need this empty anymore. So let's see if that works. I'm going to, yes, that works. And then when we press the selected button, it works. This is our action list we want to have in this arm and record button. As you can see, sometimes it's a process to find out, and that's why testing it is so crucial. And it's cool and it's important to do that on a level where you can quickly try out things. Now let's have a look at some actions I want to do on those 5 buttons, which will affect this loop here. So what I do here with the mouse, you would be able to do with the buttons, all right? And then reset. Okay, so there's a whole chapter in the manual called clip loop actions. Clip loop actions. There we go. We can turn on, turn off the clip loop, but we want actually, this one is interesting. So we have clip loop and then what's it called? Star? No, multiply. Multiply the loop length by. So when you multiply by 0.5, it will halve the track, and when you multiply by 2, it will double the loop. Okay, let's try this. Okay. We have this loop. Let me quickly midi key map this to B, so no to S, so I can emulating then the button. So it is select on the selected track the clip which is selected, and then clip loop. Okay, so how do I say that it will affect the selected clip? Let's see. Let me try this out. Okay, so it selected clip, select, and then clip action. And then I want to use that on the selected loop, multiplied. That's quite a big microphone. 0.5. Okay, so I select that. Yeah, that works. Okay, and then we do the same multiplied by 2, and then it should, yeah, you see, you can double double or half the length of the loop. And now what we want to do as well is change the position, and we can do so here. Move the clip loop backwards, forwards by beats. Is that what we want? Yeah, by its length. Let's do it by, yeah, let's move it by beat. Okay, loop, and then, how was it? beats. Okay. 4 specified by beats. B4. Okay, B4 bars. Yeah, we want to have it by one beat, and the same just in the other direction. Okay, let's see. Yeah, that is by bar now, by its length. Okay, maybe because there is a white space between that. Let's see. See, that is what I was talking about earlier. Syntax can be crucial because when you put a white space in between that, ClyphX will read this. We will read the arrow and the one as two different arguments. So you don't leave a white space in between because that's a separator. Okay, so it is clip selected loop and then arrow one and the other way, and this is the same for the loop. Okay, and then there's one more thing. It is the loop reset here, because when you this is meant to have like a cool way to play around with the loop properties, and when you don't find something, you can just press one button and reset that. You also could leave out the one and then it will move the loop by the length. That's just to your liking. Select and then loop reset. Okay, let's see. When I press loop reset, it doesn't work anymore. Okay, interesting. Maybe this. Okay, when I okay, that's a loop length, but I want to move the position. Yeah. Because all right. So this should now, reset the loop length. This is now that's the position. It makes all sense with the, see, that's why testing is really important. So that will be loop reset, I guess. Let me quickly change the loop length. Okay. And then move it a little bit around. And now it should, okay. So it turns the loop on back to what was before you fiddle around with ClyphX. But that's fine. When you manipulate the position and the length and you kind of, nah, I don't want to do that, and you hit this loop reset, it will reset the loop to its original state before you fiddle around with ClyphX. So kind of a ClyphX caused loop manipulation reset history undo function. Wow, that was a complex thing. Now we know everything. We want to, no, there's one more thing. The momentary solo button, because that's a cool one. Because what you can do, you can define an action list where you have a different action for the start of an event and the end of an event, like a loop length. So when you use that with an X clip, it will do one action when the clip is launched and another action when the clip is stopping. The same goes for a button. When you press it, it will do an action, and when you release it, it will do another action. And we want to have solo, okay? And now that's solo on. Now we turn on solo, and then there is a, what's that? I have to look up some English words. So those two dots, and then instead of semicolon, and then solo off. Okay. Now, let's see. This one is selected, and it should now turn on solo, and when the clip stops, it should turn it off. And the same goes for the button. If you press it, it will solo. When you release it, it will turn off the solo function, which is like a classic momentary button function. Cool. Now we know everything we need to know to put it all together. All right, now we researched all our actions and action lists. There's one more step needed before we can actually start programming the controller, and that is we have to find out the MIDI messages sent out by the X-Touch Mini. And what I like to do, write the MIDI notes straight into my layout, so that makes it easier to program everything later. As I showed you in the first part, there's a lovely software by Haxler called Protocol, which is a MIDI monitoring software. I have my layout, I have a pen, so let's get going. It's the first page, and I press the first button. So this is channel 11. I'll write it down, channel 11. And 0, 1, and I go through 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, sweet. So this is 1, 0, 1, 2. By the way, computers start counting on 0. So the first option is usually 0, and the second entry in a list or something will be identified by 1. So second is 1, and 0 means the first. That is called programmer's logic. Let's see, 8, 9. Okay, I just make sure that there was nobody who, okay, to 15. So this is 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and so on. Let me quickly see that, 16. Yeah, sweet. So this is basically just a straight series of numbers from 0 to 23. No surprises here. Let's go to the second page. And as you can see, these buttons do not send out any MIDI. All right. So if the logic goes on, this should be 24, right? And it is 24. Sometimes, if you have a controller, if you buy it secondhand, you can program this thing to send out completely different MIDI notes or stuff. You could use that as a keyboard or whatever. That's why it is a good idea to just double check. So it will save you a lot of time. So sweet. It's just like the default setting. It's one series of numbers from the beginning to the end. Cool. So now we have all the information we need, and I'll quickly write down all the numbers, and then we have a look at xcontrols.txt to put it all together. Let's have a look in our xcontrol file. Home folder, native control, ClyphX Pro, xcontrols.txt. All right, so let me open that up, and then we go down. Now, as I said in the first part, I will start to program those navigation buttons just for the sake of simplicity for now. So we have X-Touch. Let me quickly use the microphone, I can't see. P1, and this is button 11. And we have node, channel 11, MIDI node 10. A nice thing about this system is that it is quite coherent. So we have, when we have a look at the numbers, it is coherent in a way that button 11 will be MIDI node 10, button 12 will be MIDI node 11, and so on. So you actually could write that all down without a sheet, but I made the experience that it's much easier when you have it all written down. So X-Touch, now it's this, that is the button number 19, page 1, button 19, 11, midi node 18, 0, 127 left, and the last I'll do for now is button 20, node 11, 19, 0, 127, and right. All right. So let's go into Ableton and test that. So I go into Ableton and restart a set. I reload a set, and let's see. Should be those. It doesn't work. I'm on the second page. Yeah. Okay, sweet. The up. Okay, the up button does not work. What's wrong? Let's have a look. Interesting. See, there's a dot instead of a comma. Yeah, it's just crucial. I mean, I'm doing this for 2 years now, and it happens to me all the time. So testing. It's so important. All right. So that's the way to do it. I'm going to pause the video here and get back to you when I've written down all the commands, and then I'll go through them with you. Yeah, we'll have a look how it looks, and then we're going to see how you can use it in Ableton. It took me about like 15 minutes or 20 minutes to write it all down and test it. A few remarks I like, or I can recommend that you write down some comments to see what you're actually doing. I've written down Xtouch Mini, so when I open up the X controls, especially if you have more than one controller, it's sometimes not obvious which X control file you're working at, and then it's good to have just scroll up. It's the Xtouch Mini. And another thing I did is I put in a leading 0, so it's symmetrical. So if there would be something, like a little flaw like this, you can go down 10, 11, 12. Oh no, it's 13. Okay, that's wrong. So it's easier to find, because X controls, those text files, can get hard to read at some point. All right, so I added 2 more buttons we haven't talked about, and this is those 2 first encoders. They will momentarily turn on the sends for A and B. Short word about the snapshots. As I said, I will do a whole tutorial for its own, because it's a vast topic, which is remarkable. You have to put in a name for the snapshot, and those have to go into those square brackets as it's called in identifiers in ClyphX. What else? Yeah, and that's how to recall a snapshot. But everything else we covered. So let me quickly show you how that works in Ableton. We have, let's do a snapshot of all tracks. Okay, now let's start the thing. Okay, I did a kick, something like that. So let's do another snapshot, and then we can recall. And see, it's directly in a way musical. Okay, so that's the snapshots. The navigation buttons we covered before. Now the fade in and fade out. Okay, works like a charm. Metronome. Okay, it works also very well. It's a tempo. Okay, that was a little bit long, but as you could see, it followed the tap tempo. So what else do we have? The loop, that does work. So next scene, it doesn't make sense in this arrangement now, but if you go, yeah, as you can see, it skips through the scenes, start, stop, and yeah, scene record. Cool. That's nice. So what else? The second page, track actions. The encoders are assigned to 8 different tracks by name. So we have, what do we have? This is, that was the first page. So we have first kick, snare, the loops, drums, bass, synth, guitar, and vocals. What would be actually nice is to have this thing as a volume slider. We can do that with bindings, which is of course another video. All right, let's see the individual snapshot of a track. So, okay, let's quickly do stuff. Second snapshot, okay, recall. Yes. Okay, that works. All right, what else do we have? The fade in and fade out of the clip. As you can see, the volume was here. It was at -9. So when I do a fade in, it snaps back to 0 dB. And luckily I did a snapshot, and you could do a fade out and a fade in also with snapshot and ramping. But that's for another video. All right, what else do we have? The click, of course. And another thing we have is the momentary solo. So when I want to have a listen to just the snare, without a click, of course. With the click, without. Okay, nice. That does work. So stop clip. Because it's selected, we can play it again. Excellent. Now, the last button we did was a record button. So let's use that. Okay. Yeah, there's no instrument connected, so you have no sound. But when you press the play button again, there you go. I recorded something. As you can imagine, the sky is the limit. So depending of what field you are working, which kind of music you make, you may have a complete different workflow and a complete different set of actions you'd like to access. But that's totally to your liking. That was something I came up with, what I thought would be nice to have in for general use. And you know, when you have a look at the manual, there are so many actions you can use, combinations. Yeah, I hope you liked the video. That wraps it up for today. Please like and subscribe. If you're considering buying ClyphX Pro, there are affiliate links down in the description. So when you buy it through those links, I get a small share. I'm going to link all the material I did in this video also in the description, the layout, my xcontrol.txt file. So if you have a Behringer X-Touch Mini, you could pretty much download and start editing or changing my layout. Yeah, so always stay in control and have a great day. Bye-bye.